The next area we're going to fill is the lower right hand corner, and this is a double back stitch, which means basically you're going back and forth like you're doubling back on a pathway, and each stitch will be over 2 threads, and we're going to be creating a series of diamond shapes. When we look at the stitch pathway guide, you can see that we're going to be doing a series of 3 diamonds. The red is one set, the yellow-orange is another set, and then the blue is the third set. So you're actually only going to be making 9 diamonds altogether. Each pathway will start with a fresh thread, and the very first stitch within each diamond is this one. Now, don't forget to also be looking at your stitch diagram. This is simply showing you the pathway of the stitches for this particular project. So this is stitch 1 going from here to here. So the next thing we need to do is figure out exactly where this spot is. So let's count down from your existing cross stitch border. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 fabric linen threads down from your existing border. And from this side, let's count over from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 from here to here, and 13 from here to here. I've counted once, but I'm definitely going to count a second time. From here, I should have 13 between this point and this border. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And in this direction, I should have 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so that's the right place to be. And we're going to do a series of diagonal stitches. They're all over 2. And this is a double back stitch in that double not meaning doing it twice, but double back like if you go someplace and you say, oh, I forgot to buy ice cream sandwiches. Well, then I will double back to the store. It's that kind of double back. So from here, we're going to count over 2 and up 2, and that's stitch number 1. Stitch number 2 is directly opposite it. Now, this is a pulled stitch, which, by the way, I started with an away waist knot about 3 inches away from this point. Okay, so to know where stitch number 2 begins, from this point, I'm going to count over to the left 12 threads. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And again, this stitch is over 2, so over 2 and up 2. Now stitch number 3, I'm doubling back over to the other side now, and it is below stitch 1. Now I'm going to cross back over to the other side and do stitch number 4. Which is right above stitch number 2. Now I'm going to double back again and put stitch number, where am I? Stitch number 5 below stitch number 3. So stitch number 8 shares this hole and comes over 2 and down 2. And then we're going to double back to the other side and do stitch number 9. Double back to the other side again. And then finally, stitch number 11 will finish the lower side. And stitch number 12 will finish the upper side. Now, one last stitch to allow a transition to get from this diamond to the next one is to put a stitch in the center. 5 threads from the top, so there's 4, 5, and then just over 2. Now we need to come down and do the first stitch of the next diamond. So this is stitch 1 for this diamond, and this is stitch 1 for this diamond. So I think the easiest way to find this point is to simply count down the 12 linen threads from this point to this point, and then come down 2 more and over 2. So a total of 14 from here to here, and then back 2 threads to here. So from this point, I'm going to come down 14 threads. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then back 2 more threads to the left. And again, I'd rather count twice and not have to rip out, so I'm going to check that before I start stitching. That's right, so I'm back to stitch number 1, over 2 and up 2. And I'm going to come directly across 12 threads to know where to start stitch number 2. So it's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Over 2 and up 2. Stitch number 3 is right beneath stitch number 1, so down 2 and up 2. It's going to share a hole with stitch number 1. I'm going to double back to the other side to do stitch number 4. Double back to the first side to do stitch number 5. Double back yet again to do stitch number 6. Now this one should share a hole with the previous diamond, and it does. And then stitch number 7 shares a hole here, so over 2 and up 2. Stitch number 8 shares this hole, go over 2 and down 2. Stitch number 9 is right above stitch 7. And then stitch 10. Stitch 11 will finish the lower side of the diamond. And stitch 12 will finish the upper side. And again, we're going to add a center stitch, which is 5 threads beneath the top. And we'll just cover 2 fabric threads. And now I'm ready to go on to the next diamond. I'm going to stop here at this point because I don't really like the way this is pulling up. As I took the stitch out, it was evident where the problem occurred when I went from stitch 1, which is right here, to stitch 2, which is right there. And that's when I pulled too hard and I compressed my ground cloth to the point where I was really causing myself a problem. So now I'm back to stitch number 3. And finish the top with stitch number 12. Now, even though we're going to be finishing here and don't really have to have a transition stitch, I'm going to go ahead and put it in just for consistency's sake. So again, from the top, I'm coming down 2, 4, 5 fabric threads, cross over 2 fabric threads, and now I'm going to turn this over and show you where to secure the tail and also where to secure the beginning thread. This may look like a bit of a mess, but this is what the back of the double back diamond stitch looks like. And as you were aware, we were doubling back and forth between the two sides. The nice thing about this is it gives me a good place to secure the tail. I'm simply going to go under a bunch of the stitches and then make a U-turn and come back the other way. This is the thread that I have left after cutting off my away waist knot. And frankly, I didn't really leave it long enough to comfortably thread my needle with this. It seems like at least once in every class experience, I get an opportunity to show you what I call my lasso method for dealing with a short tail like this. So I guess I should be kind of glad that it happened here. What I do is I thread a needle with a single strand of floss. I try to use a contrasting color. I thread the two cut ends into the eye of my needle and then leave a loop. I insert my needle as if it's threaded with the thread that I mean to be burying. And right before I pull it completely through, while there's still a loop, I thread the intended strand into the loop and pull it through. Now, like I said before, I want to make a U-turn. So I came down that way, and now with the same floss loop, I'm going to come up in the other direction. And once I have that little loop on the end, kind of hard to see there, I thread the intended, need to open that up a little bit more. I thread the intended thread into the loop and pull it through. And now I can cut that off. This is a good tool to use whenever you have not quite enough thread left to bury it. And that's that. That's the first 3 diamonds. And now I'm going to thread my needle with another 22 inches of thread and do another set right next to that first set. Now we're going to start doing the series of yellow diamonds. And again, this is stitch number 1. So we have to identify where that stitch begins. The easiest way to find where the stitch begins is to go back to our completed diamond, the red one on this diagram, and count over 10 threads and down 2, and that will be where the stitch is going to begin. I think I'm in the right place, but I'm going to double check. From this finished diamond, I'm coming over 10 threads, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and down 2. So this is the beginning of stitch number 1, over 2 and up 2. Stitch number 2 is going to share a hole with the first completed diamond. And again, going over 2 and up 2. And now I'm just going to continue the same pattern. Making sure that I'm pulling each stitch, but not pulling the thread between one side and the other.